Let me ask you a question. If you spend 5 hours every day watching other people build businesses, make money, and solve problems, create value for others, create meaningful content that others are benefiting from, but you spend 0 hours building anything meaningful for yourself or meaningful for others, at the end of the year, what would you have created? Nothing. You will just be a very well informed spectator. So I want to show you the difference between a consumer and a creator using one single idea from mathematics, and I'm going to bring in a biblical connection of God's design for mankind. So kindly watch till the end. So we can describe what we watch online as our input, and then what we do with it as the function, and what happens afterward as the output. Okay, in math, a function takes what you give it, it takes the input and turns it into something else. For example, you can have a function f that takes something, you can call it, it takes something, you can call it x, and then it transforms it. So this is a typical function in mathematics. So if you put in, say, 3 in this function, this is where the function takes in input. So if you put in 3, this shows what happens to the input that the function takes in. So the 3 will be multiplied by 2 and 1 will be added to it, and so the result is 2 times 3 plus 1. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So that's a typical function in mathematics and how a function works. Life runs on a similar function. So every day you receive input in form of time, knowledge, money, talent, opportunities. The question that separates people is not what they receive, it is what happens between the input and the output. Now let's look at the difference between a consumer and a creator. So person A is a consumer. He takes the input and he consumes. That's all. So he watches a business content and then he says, wow, powerful. This is a powerful video. He moves to the next video, watches 3 more videos, and then he moves on with his life. That is the consumer mentality. Now let's look at what a creator does. B is a creator. He receives input, he transforms it, and then he creates value from the input he receives. So this is what happens. He watches a business video. The first thing he does is he asks himself, how do I apply this? How do I apply this tomorrow? That's the first question he asks himself. He takes down notes. On key concepts in order not to forget, because that things you learn, and if you don't implement, after a few days you forget. So he takes down notes and then he draws an action plan. So that's the difference between someone with a consumer mentality and someone with a creator mentality. You realize that What creates a gap between people is not really about their intelligence. It's more about what they do with the inputs that they receive, with the content that they receive, what they do with it. You see, somebody will get information that uh, parents in their area cannot afford laptops for their children. The laptops are very expensive, and the average parent cannot afford laptop for their children. One person will complain that the economy is bad, that things are expensive, that life is so difficult. Meanwhile, another person will ask, "How? What can I do to make computers more affordable for these parents?" And then those questions will push the person to take actions. The person may go closer to those who sell computers and try to understand what the parents actually need. Try to bridge the gap between the suppliers and the consumers, and try to satisfy, to optimize the customer needs with their budget. And then you realize that at the end of the day, more parents can afford the laptops because of the optimization of price and usage. So you see that one person has created a solution, meanwhile another person is complaining, and then that creates a gap, the gap between the two people. Every problem you see today, whether difficulty in paying school fees, difficulty in transportation, slow deliveries, expensive stock, is a function waiting for someone to process it into value. God's original design for man was not to be a mere consumer. When you look at Genesis 1, it opens with God as creator. He created mankind, he created the universe, he created everything that exists. And then when you go to Genesis 1 verse 27, it says, "We were made in the image of God." So creativity and production are not optional optional extras for us. We're meant to be creators. Creativity is in our DNA. Creativity is part of God's design for the human race. Don't get me wrong, the world will always need consumers. I myself, I consume content. I consume value created by others. I buy things that people sell. I use other things that people have created. There's nothing wrong with consuming. But the future belongs to those who create, because they are the ones who design what others will consume. The future belongs to people who take an ordinary input and turn it through the function of action until it produces value for someone else. So the take home for us today is that you should not just be the people who complain about problems, the people who observe problems and complain. Be that person that when you observe a problem in your community, in your country, you think about the solution. You sketch a solution. Don't just look at what's in your hand and call it small. Ask God, how do I multiply this thing you have blessed me with, this information you have given me, this resource I have, this gift I have, how do I multiply it? Because somewhere someone is searching for a solution, and the answer might be the very thing already sitting in your hands. Stop consuming the future. Start creating it. He is the CEO of Kameh Inspires. We are headed for the top. The bottom is crowded. Join us on this journey. Like this content if it made meaning to you, and share for others to discover the meaningful content we are sharing. Thanks. Be blessed. See you on the next video.